Hello everyone, this is Brijesh Kumar. Today I am going to teach you the chapter Forgetting by Robert Lind. Before I begin to teach you the text in between lines, I would like to tell you a little bit information about the writer himself. Robert Wilson Lind was his full name and he was born on 20th April 1879. He was an Anglo-Irish writer, editor of poetry, urban literary essayist and strong Irish nationalist. Robert Lind is a very humorous and delightful essayist. His essays are simple, playful, humorous, and satirical. His style of writing is elegant and charming. In his essay Forgetting, Robert Lind writes about the root causes of forgetting and also explains what items are usually forgotten by the people. After this information, now we are moving ahead to read the text itself. A list of articles lost by railway travellers and now on sale at a great London station has been published, and many people who read it have been astonished at the absent-mindedness of their fellows. The essayist tells us about a list of articles. And what kind of articles are these? These are the articles which usually have been lost by the railway travellers during their journeys. And the railway authorities, they collected those articles, put them at one place, made a list of those articles and now pasted on the wall of that great London station so that people would come to know about those articles and purchase them according to their needs. But what is surprising here is this, that most of the people who read this list of articles, they all are surprised on finding how forgetful human beings are. And further he says, if statistical records were available on the subject, however, I doubt whether it would be found that absent-mindedness is common. He says that if data analysis had been conducted on this particular subject of how people usually forget their articles and when they forget their articles, it would have been found that forgetting itself is very common. Absent-mindedness is very common among the human beings. Therefore, it is the efficiency rather than the inefficiency of human memory that compels my wonder. Further, he said that it is not the inefficiency. You need to focus on this particular statement because this is very important in order to better comprehend what he wants to tell in this particular essay. He said that it is not the inefficiency of the human memory, that already we have witnessed how he tells us about that list of articles which usually was pasted and the articles that those articles which have been forgotten by the railway travellers. This shows the inefficiency of the human memory, but it does not compel him to think. It does not make him to think. He is not surprised by this inefficiency. Rather, he is surprised by the efficiency of the human memory. Why? Because he thinks that a modern man remembers everything. Then how can a modern man be so forgetful? How can he forget so many things during his journey? And thereafter he gives us a list of those things which a modern man usually remembers. He tells us modern man remembers even telephone numbers. A modern man very easily tell you the telephone numbers, the mobile phone numbers of his family members, of his friends, because he remembers these numbers, some of these numbers which are important for him. He remembers the addresses of the friends. A modern man remembers the dates of good vintages. What is vintages? Vintage means crop of grapes. A modern man can tell you when there was good crop in the previous years. He remembers appointment for lunch and dinner. A modern man can tell you and can hardly forget about the appointments of lunch and dinner. His memory is crowded with the names of actors and actresses and cricketers and footballers and murderers. And then Robert Lind tells us how the memory of a normal human being is full of the names of different kind of personalities, including actors, actresses, cricketers, footballers, murderers, or whomever a modern man loves. He can tell you what the weather was like in a long past August, and the name of the provincial hotel at which he had a wild meal during the summer. Robert Lind tells us that a modern man can tell you what kind of weather was there in the last August or in a long past August. And he can also tell you what kind of food had he eaten in a local hotel in the month of summer, or in the season of, rather you can call it in the season of summer. And he can also tell you that the food was not very nice, because wild meal means bad meal. That is not a quality meal. So a modern man can tell you all these things. In his ordinary life, he can remember everything without any kind of mistake, and that's what compels that's what compels the writer to think. If a modern man can be so strong in remembering all these things, how can the same man be so forgetful? Further, he tells, in his ordinary life, again, he remembers almost everything that he is expected to remember. How many men in our London forget a single item of their clothing when dressing in the morning? Not one in 100, perhaps not one in 10,000. He says that there are very few people who usually forget to put on a single cloth out of what they are expected to put on before leaving their houses to their offices. They remember what they have to put on in the morning before leaving to their houses. Before leaving to their, offices, not houses. How many of them forget to shut the front door when leaving the house? Hardly anybody. Whereas all the people, they remember to shut the front door before leaving their houses for their work. Scarcely more, and so it goes on through the day, almost everybody remembering to do the right things at the right moment till it is time to go to bed. Here a sage tells us that a modern man almost remembers everything till the time he goes to his bed for sleeping. And when he goes to his bedroom for sleeping, he does not forget, before going upstairs, he does not forget to turn off the light. So in this way, you can well understand what the essayist wants to express, what the essayist wants to tell us, that a modern man is so strong in the memory. And that's the thing which compels him to think that if a man is so strong, how can, in terms of memory, in terms of recollecting or remembering the things, how can the same man be so forgetful? And then these questions he responds in the next passages. Now he starts explaining why people are so forgetful, why a modern man forgets the things. On the one hand, he already has told us how a modern man does not miss to remember anything that is important for him to remember. He does the thing at the right time. But on the other hand, now he is going to tell us why people forget the things. Here he tells, there are, it must be admitted, some matters in regard to which the memory works with less than its usual perfection. It is only a very methodical man, I imagine, who can always remember to take the medicine his doctor has prescribed for him. He says that in some matters, memory usually works less then it is supposed to work. It does not function properly. And he gives us example of a very systematic man. Methodical man means a very systematic man who usually remembers to take the medicine his doctors has prescribed for him at the right time. But such a man you would find very few among us, because most of the people, they forget to take their medicine at the right time. And this is more surprising because medicine should be one of the easiest things to remember. As a rule, it is supposed to be taken before, during, or after meals, and the meal itself should be a reminder of it. He says that only a systematic man takes his medicine at the right time. Other people, they forget. And that too is very surprising for him, because medicines are those things which can be easily remembered by anyone, because most of the medicines are prescribed to be taken either before the meal or during the meal or after the meal. So meal itself reminds the person about the medicine. Still people forget. The fact remains, however, that few but the moral giants remember to take their medicine regularly. And that's the thing already I have told, that very few moral giants, very few systematic people, they remember to take their medicine regularly. Otherwise, most of the people, they forget to take their medicine at the right time. Certain psychologists tell us that we forget things because we wish to forget them. And it may be that it is because of their antipathy to pills and potions that many people fail to remember them at the appointed hours. He says that there are certain psychologists that tell us that people forget to take their medicine at the right time because they have developed a kind of hatred towards those medicines, towards those tablets or syrups. They do not want to take medicines because they do not love them, and that's why they fail to remember them at the appointed hours. But this does not explain, however, how it is that a lifelong devotee of medicines like myself is as forgetful of them as those who take them most unwillingly. But the sage tells us that this particular explanation does not work here, because a person like me, who is the lifelong devotee of medicines, is also equally forgetful of these medicines as those who do not want to take them, who hate medicines. So, the above mentioned statement, the above mentioned results of the researches are what psychologists tell us does not work in this particular context. The very prospect of a new and widely advertised cure all delights me. He says that whenever a new advertisement is circulated about any medicine with the prospect of its being a good healer, I am always delighted. I want to take that medicine as soon as possible, even if I have the stuff in my pocket. I purchase the medicine, I have the medicine in my pocket, but I forget about it as soon as the hour approaches at which I ought to swallow it. He says that even after having this stuff, this particular medicine in my pocket, I forget to swallow. That means to take the medicine at the right time. And thus, chemists make their fortunes out of the medicines people forget to take. Here he says that this is how the druggists, the chemists, those people who manufacture medicines, they make their fortunes. They earn lots of money on the one hand, and on the other hand, ordinary people, they forget to take them. Thereafter, he comes on the next passage and starts explaining the commonest forms of forgetfulness. The commonest form of forgetfulness, I suppose, occurs in the matter of posting letters. He says that the most common form of forgetfulness usually occurs in the matter of posting letters. It is so common that I am always reluctant means unwilling, to trust a departing visitor to post an important letter. He says that he does not wish to give a very important letter to a departing visitor because he is always scared that the letter will not be posted. So little do I rely on his memory that I put him on his oath before handing the letter to him. He says that before giving an important letter to a departing visitor, I make him swear that he would definitely post my letter. Otherwise, I am reluctant. I do not want to give to hand over a letter for being posted to a departing visitor. As for myself, anyone who asks me to post a letter is a poor judge of character. He says that I am also as forgetful as other people because the person who wants me to post his letter is also a poor judge of character. Even if I carry the letter in my hand, I am always past the first pillar box before I remember that I ought to have posted it. He says that even if I carry the letter under compulsion, under forced circumstances, sometimes I have to take the letter, but I forget to post it when I just walk on the road. I remember that it should be posted when I left the first pillar back behind. And in this way, when I feel that I am tired of holding the letter in my hand, he says that he puts the letter inside his pocket and forget all about it. After that, it has an unadventurous life, that means very safe life, till a long chain of circumstances leads to a number of embarrassing questions being asked, and I am compelled to produce the evidence of my guilt from my pocket. He says that it remains there inside the pocket until and unless a range of questions are asked whether I have posted the letter given to me or not, and at that time I am forced to produce the evidence of my guilt showing that I have not posted the letter from my pocket. People may call it that I am reluctant to post the letter because the letter does not belong to me, but it is equally true of my own letters. I mean, the letters which I myself have written, I also forget to post them. That's what he is writing here. This, it might be thought, must be due to the lack of interest in other people's letters, but that cannot be the explanation. For I forget to post some even of the few letters that I myself remember to write. He is telling here that sometimes he forget to post even those letters which he himself has written, and that's why it can never be said that he does not forget the letters which he himself has written and forget the letter which usually are handed over to him to be posted, because it is very much common among the human beings that they forget to post the letters. Now moving towards the next passage, he says, as for leaving articles in trains and in taxis, I am no great delinquent in such matters. I can remember almost anything except books and walking sticks, and I can often remember even books. He says that he is not a great culprit of leaving the things inside the trains while traveling from one place to other place. He said that he can remember almost everything except books and walking sticks, and sometimes he also remembers books, but so far as walking sticks are concerned, he usually forgets them to take. Walking sticks, I find it quite impossible to keep, that's the thing he is telling. I have an old-fashioned taste for them and I buy them frequently, but no sooner do I pay a visit to a friend's house or go a journey in a train, then another stick is on its way into the world of the lost. He says that usually I forget walking sticks, and I am a great lover of walking sticks. I frequently buy them, but as soon as I go to visit a friend's house, or make a journey via train or taxi, I usually forget them. I also forget umbrella, and that's why I do not have the courage to carry umbrella all the time. He says, I dare not carry an umbrella for fear of losing it. To go through life without ever having lost an umbrella, has ever the grimmest jarred umbrella carrier ever achieved this? He says that to pass a life even without forgetting an umbrella is or can be the work of a very systematic person, a very serious person. Otherwise, most of us usually forget our umbrellas during our journey. Few of us, however, have lost much property on our travels through forgetfulness. The ordinary man arrives at his destination with all his bags and trunks safe. The list of articles lost in trains during the year suggests that it is the young rather than the adult who forgets, and that sportsmen have worse memories than the ordinary serious minded fellows. He says that ordinary people usually do not forget their things to pick up at the time of their journey. When they leave the trains, they always remember those things to take with them. And when you see or make a comparison between the young ones and the adult ones, you would find that the young ones are more forgetful about the things than the adult ones. So far as the memories of the sportsmen are concerned, they have worse memories than the ordinary serious minded people. Because a considerable number of footballs and cricket bats, for instance, were forgotten. He says that a number of cricket bats, a number of footballs already have been forgotten, and these are mentioned in that list which already has been pasted on the wall of the railway station. This signifies that the sportsmen, they have worse memories. And what is the reason of this worse memories? He also explains this thing. And he said that this is easy to understand. For boys returning from the games have their imaginations still filled with the vision of the playing field, and their heads are among the stars or their hearts in their boots as they recall their exploits or their errors. He says that the young ones, the sportsmen, when they are coming back after their games, their memories are overcrowded with the events that already have taken place on the ground of the game. They keep on thinking about the stars, the best players of the game. They keep on thinking about their drawbacks, their strength, and that's why they do not go outside of the memories of the event or the memories of their game. Thus, they are abstracted, cut off. They are cut off from the world outside them. Memories prevent them from remembering to do such small prosaic things as take the ball or the bat with them when they leave the train. He says that the memories of those events of the game check them to remember the prosaic things. Prosaic things means tasteless things, as the ball or the bat. When they leave the train, because they always have their memories full of the events, so they forget because these things seem to them very prosaic, tasteless, useless. I mean, they have less important at that time, and the memories of the game usually have more importance. That's why they forget. For the rest of the day, they are citizens of dreamland. The same may be said, no doubt, of anglers who forget their fishing rods. He says that such young people, such sports people, they become, after their games are over, they become the citizens of the dreamland. They lost themselves in dreams. They always think about, as I told you, the events already have taken place on the ground of the game. And the same thing can be said about anglers. Anglers here means fishermen who go for fishing, because they also forget their fishing rods. Fishing rods, you can well understand, it's a big stick and a thread is tied with the stick with a very sharp hook, which is useful to catch the fish. That is known as fishing rod. In Hindi, it is known as katia. So you may be knowing this thing. Anglers are generally said, I do not know with what justification, to be the most imaginative of men, and the man who is inventing magnificent lies on the journey home after a day's fishing is bound to be a little absent-minded in his behavior. He says that anglers are supposed to be the most imaginative people. He says that I do not know with what justification people say this, but still people hold this idea that the anglers are the most imaginative people. And an angler is adept in inventing magnificent lies when he comes back after a day's fishing. And that's why when he keeps on engaging his memory in creating new lies to tell the fellow travelers, he's bound to be a little absent-mindedness. And that's why he usually forgets his fishing rod. The fishing rod of reality is forgotten by him as he daydreams over the fears of the fishing rod of utopia. That's the thing. Utopia means a thing of imagination. When he is busy in imagining, when he is busy to create stories and to tell the fellow travelers about the fishing deeds, he forgets the fishing rod of reality. His loss of memory is really a tribute to the intensity of his enjoyment in thinking about his day's sports. He may forget his fishing rod as the poet may forget to post a letter, because his mind is filled with matter more glorious. And he says that his loss of memory is really a tribute, it's a good thing. The loss of memory means he forgets the thing is good for him, because he makes himself busy in taking enjoyment and explaining the deeds of the day's sports. And that's why he forgets his fishing rod. Very much like a poet who usually forgets to post a letter, because a poet has more glorious things to remember than a letter. Similarly, an angler also has more glorious things to remember than picking up the fishing rod at the right moment when they leave the train or when they leave the taxi. Similarly, sportsmen, they also do the same thing, because they have more glorious things in terms of I told you, the stars, the players, the excellent players, or in terms of the the drawbacks or the strength, etc. So these people, they do not care for remembering the normal things, and that's why they forget. And here ends the first half of the chapter, forgetting. And for the second half of the chapter, forgetting, you need to see my next video. Thank you very much.